Here's a question that comes up a lot in meat rabbit circles, in the forums and groups and general conversation between meat rabbit raisers. And the question is, what knives does everybody like? What's your best recommendation for a knife for processing? So I've laid out here some of the different knives and sharpeners and other things we've used in processing over the last few years. And as you can see, we've tried out a fair number of them. Now, some of these are things we had that we've used in processing other animals in the past. Some of these I bought specifically with rabbit processing in mind. And we've kind of tried out most of these and landed on a few that we really like. Most of them pictured here I could say would be useful and recommend, but definitely some that we are our go-to knives that we like more than others. So I'll talk about our favorites, what we use the most, and then we can talk about maybe some of the others, what we liked about them, what we didn't, or if we just didn't have much of an opinion at all. So to get started, what we like the most these days are these knives from Victorinox. They are actually called their shaping knife, and I believe that they're designed with the idea of like shaping vegetables, making rose radishes and things like that, which might seem an unlikely choice for rabbit processing, but what we were going for was size and shape. So we had noticed in one of the videos that we were learning from processing that the butcher in that video, he had these nicely curved knives, and I tried to find in his links and his information what exactly the knives were. I was not able to find that, but I did a lot of researching on the internet. And this is like I said, from Victorinox, which is a good brand of knife. I've worked alongside professional butchers, and they like Victorinox knives. They like Dexter or Dexter Russell knives, among others, but those are some of the names. The nice thing about them is their lines are fairly affordable, same as with the Dexter. This is a nice small knife, maneuverable, lightweight, has a nice stainless steel blade that keeps a good edge. It does dull up a little bit quicker than my husband would like. My husband and my son primarily do the processing. I'm usually the rabbit runner. I have processed some myself. The reason I'm the rabbit runner is because I run the rabbit room, so I know who needs to be kept, not processed. And usually I'm doing some other chores in there while I'm running rabbits to them, like I can be cleaning cages while they're doing their thing. So just the way we do it. But what we liked about this, and what that butcher in that video was talking about, was this curved back. When you're cutting down through, especially in those initial cuts, slicing down the belly, it's nice to have that curved point away from the intestines and the organs and the guts, so that you're not piercing that. And that does a really nice job of sliding right down and almost guides itself right down inside the hide. So that's why that's his preferred knife. Like I said, he would like it if that kept the edge a little bit longer, but these are also really pretty cheap. They're $8 a piece, which I was surprised to find Victorinox knives that cheap. And we go through a lot of rabbits when we're processing. So my thought is I have 2 of these, and I probably will invest in a few more. That way we can keep a better rotation. If I have 4 or 6 of these on hand, he can sharpen them all before they start. And then if they get to a point where one is a little dull, he can just switch it over. And then when they're done, they can sharpen them again. That's the idea. Invest in good quality knives that can be sharpened. So then we have some other Victorinox knives that I like. This is what they call their rabbit knife. It's a 4-inch blade, and this is what they have apparently designed with the idea of processing rabbits. I have seen videos and information where other people say that this is the knife that they use. A little bit longer blade. It's a 4-inch blade, and doesn't have that curved feature. So one of the things we strongly look for when we were looking for knives was that shape of the blade that we wanted. Not a bad way to go. Also a good affordable choice and a quality knife that can be sharpened and maintained and kept for years. Also, so then we have the 5.5-inch semi-stiff boning knife from Victorinox. These we don't really use so much when we're processing. It's more of a knife that I use when I'm butchering, when I'm boning out, cutting trim. I do like to cut, trim, and grind meat because I've found that for us, if I have packaged meat, you know, a lot of us are used to having ground cut chunks of meat, stew meat, etc. And, you know, we're kind of used to being able to go to the freezer, take that out, thaw it, or maybe not even thaw, and use that meat and just have something on the table in short order. I do like whole roasted rabbit as well. We'll slow cook that, do roasted, do shredded, do all sorts of things with it. But it really is nice most of the time to just have prepped meat in the freezer that I can grab and go. So I do bone and grind. And this is the knife that I choose to do that. It has worked well, had it for years, takes a good edge for those who are good at sharpening, which that is one skill that I will be working on for a while, but you know, something we all want to get better at, and probably some of them you out there are much better than me. So those are the knives that we've kind of landed on as the knives of preference when we go out to process. Some others that we've had that we also like. I find this is a little harder to find on the internet. I found this locally at a store. My husband sent me out looking for a kind of small knife, short blade. I think this is 3.5 inches, fine point, because getting through that, making those initial entry cuts and getting through that hide can be tough. And this knife has it. He really likes this knife too. Now, this was his knife of choice right up until we saw that other video and we saw the benefits of that curved blade. So this is one that is still in use as well, that we like. Good quality, takes a good edge. I'm sure we'll be hanging on to this and using it for years to come too. So that's most of them that we use, but there's a few others here because, you know, it's tough for us to shop locally. We don't have a lot of good local options, so I'm buying on the internet, and I'm often buying, you know, what I think is going to be good. And honestly, we're doing so much meat, like I have no problem investing a little bit more into knives and having a few extras around. Dexter is a very highly recommended brand, Dexter Russell, used again by a lot of commercial butchers who I know. They have these Sandy Safe lines, which this happens to be from the Sandy Safe line. It's kind of a combination of ease of cleaning and sanitation, but also they're designed, excuse me, to be no slip, good grips. This, to me, this grip is a little bit more than I want in my hand when I'm working around the animal for the processing, a little better for trimming and boning out, and that's actually what this is designed to do. But again, this is a knife that we chose because it has that curve away that lets you make those cuts and those entry cuts without piercing on the back side. These are some Dexter paring knives that I ordered at the same time because I liked that shape. That's what we were trying to get to. These have an almost kind of serrated edge to them. They're a nice sharp knife. They work. They're not quite what we were looking for when we were looking for processing knives. This is a set of knives from Remington that we've had for years. This smallest knife has always been the most useful of the three in this set, but all three have definitely seen use on chickens and all sorts of other things. This is a pretty good option too, but I do find that this is harder to find, this set. But when we first started processing, that's what we started processing with. And then as we figured out a little more what we were looking for, we moved to finding some of these other knives. If you've seen Alyssa's processing video from BHA Rabbitry, she recommends just regular paring knives. That's what she uses. You know, again, good, light, small, maneuverable. You can find some that have a good edge. Nice thing about these is anyone can find them. You can go to your grocery store, your local big box store, anywhere is going to have these. They're cheap and accessible, so even if they are a little less quality, you know, you can go through a lot of them for cheap money. That set of 4, I believe, was probably $10 or under, so call it about $2 a knife. This Victorinox, the shaping knife, runs right now around $8. I want to say these might be 18. Double check the article and the links. There is an article accompanying this video that has links to these featured products, especially in some of the others. And I've tried to find current pricing on those as well, so that we can provide those links, because that's one thing that I find in these discussions in these group forums, is that even if someone says, well, I like such and such a knife, it can be tough to find them and ferret them out. So I'll do what I can to provide the links to all of these. So please come on over to meetrabbits.org, read the article, follow the links if there's knives you're looking for. This is our best recommendation. This is a caping knife from Lem. Another affordable, good quality option. It's a little bit too much knife for me for processing the rabbits. You don't get quite as fine a point on the end. Another option wouldn't be my first option. Probably, in my mind, probably a little better for boning and things like that. And then we do sometimes use, you know, hand shears, garden shears that we keep expressly for processing the rabbit, as opposed to my garden shears that are used and abused otherwise in the yard and garden. We're trying to get better at you know, working through the joint, the tendons with the knives, and not having to use the shears, because the shears leave a shattered, splintered bone, which is a little bit less nice for working with and for bagging, and I like to vacuum pack them, so anything that has a sharp point on it is going to pierce the bag. I do usually just wrap those quick with a little bit of paper towel on the ends of the bones and the neck, and that usually solves that problem as well. A couple other things you're definitely going to want is a good honing steel. You know, you're going to want to sharpen your knives, but you want the honing steel to clean those up, take the edges, restore the edges while you're working with it. And then we have 2 different styles of sharpener. Good old-fashioned whetstone actually sometimes can be difficult to find. And this set from Lansky that was a gift to my husband years ago. The nice thing about this is that it has a clamp, and for some of these with the little bit stranger shapes and edges that you need to get just right, these are all different angles to find the right angle for your knife, and you know, get a good edge back on it. So that's it. That's the many knives of us that we have been through and what we prefer to use. You know, quality knives that stay sharp are going to be safer. It's worth investing a little bit more in some good quality knives, because you won't be replacing them all the time. And you know, it just makes your work easier, makes the work go faster, nicer, cleaner meat overall. So I hope that helps some of you finding knives. Again, meetrabbits.org has the accompanying article, and we will have links to as many of these products as we can. Thank you.